morning, good afternoon, good day. My name is David Oquendo. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Happy New Year's. It is officially 2021. This is my first recorded video of 2021. I actually realized, looking back at all my videos, I don't really mention Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu that much, maybe once or twice, but I've never created a video committed to just talking about Jiu-Jitsu, which I'm going to do today. So, white belt, my Jiu-Jitsu journey as a white belt. I actually earned my white belt, first I started Jiu-Jitsu August 2007. At the age of 21, 22, was kind of around my birthday. And it was interesting because I actually came from wrestling, and there's this sort of quote online is, where wrestling ends is where Jiu-Jitsu starts. So wrestling is, you start standing, you take the guy down, you control him, you keep him pinned, and match is over. Well, that's kind of where Jiu-Jitsu begins. Let's say, okay, like what do you do after that, right? So that transition between wrestling and Jiu-Jitsu was actually pretty smooth. Of course, I progressed pretty quickly because of that. So it only took me about 10 months to go from white belt to blue belt. So my advice to fellow white belts is tap often. What I mean by tap, I mean tap, submit often, and be okay with being beat all the time. Be a sponge. Just show up and be a sponge. I remember from white belt to blue belt, I believe, from my memory, I trained a minimum of 3 to 4 times a week. I was actually still in college at the time, and I was there all the time. I was just constantly learning, constantly just absorbing information. I avoided unnecessary injuries, and I notice a lot of newer people just get injured all the time because they don't know when to tap, they don't know when they're in trouble, they don't know if this is a good position to continue or not. So one way of progressing smoothly or quickly is avoiding injury, and to avoid injury, you need to be aware of when you're in danger. So rather tap and start over than not tap, and then you wake up in an ambulance, and that's not really good. You're not gonna get really good at jiu-jitsu if you're constantly getting hurt, right? So next is blue belt. So between the years 2008 to around 2010, I was a blue belt. So for about 2 years, blue belt was pretty interesting because I couldn't pretend I was a white belt anymore. I mean, I was a white belt, but I was a white belt with wrestling experience. So you're not really a pure white belt when you really know how to grapple a little bit. So 2 things I learned as a blue belt was defend and catch. So I never really set up any sort of submissions as a blue belt. I would just defend myself as best as I possibly can. Don't get into bad positions. And anytime a submission sort of appeared, I would catch it. So I call it defend and catch. And also, the second thing I did a lot was help. Anytime that instructor Louis would ask me to help, I would always say yes. I would, help with this class? Yes. Help with that class? Yes. Can you sweep up? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. Can you help out these parents coming in? Yes. Everything was yes. I was a yes man. And that actually opened up opportunities for me. I believe the reason why I started helping out was because after school, after college, after my classes, I would just show up. It could be, class could start at 6 or 6:30. I would be there at 4:30 or maybe 5 o'clock. And Louis noticed, hey, you're always here way early. Why don't you help out? Why don't you help out with the kids' classes? And then eventually it kind of led to teaching private lessons later on. Purple belt. Purple belt I actually call the middle child belt. I've always told it to purple belts, it's like the middle child, because beginners kind of see you as kind of advanced, and advanced guys, brown belts and black belts, they kind of see you, hey, this guy's getting a little bit better. So you're kind of getting challenged from both ends. and if you stick around, you'll get better, a lot better, because you're getting challenged from both ends of the belt spectrum. This is actually where I kind of peaked when it comes to competitions. I competed from white belt through purple, but purple belt was where I competed the most. I was okay with competitions. I just kind of competed just to compete because I found it fun. But I actually noticed that the competitions didn't really get me or make me any better. It's the preparation for the competitions that make me better. Of course, competitions are a huge learning experience. It's really fun. It's challenging, but in my experience, I actually learned or progressed way more training for that competition. So there were certain times when I would prep for a competition that I never really planned on competing in. And that sounds kind of weird or silly, due to like financial reasons or other things, or couldn't take the flight, to say there's a Pan Am's at a particular time and date that I wasn't gonna make. I would mentally or train as if though I was gonna compete for that competition. So a lot of the times, competing does make you better, but I guess I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I think the training for that competition actually makes you better significantly. So brown belt, I don't even think I mentioned the purple belt years, but purple belt was from 2010 to 2013. Brown belt was from 2013 to 2018, so pretty much 5 years I was a brown belt. So for a while, I was a brown belt, and brown belt was interesting and challenging because I literally transformed as a brown belt physically. I was training with a friend of mine who was maybe about 6 feet tall or so, about 190 pounds, maybe 200, and he kind of pulled me aside after whipping me really badly. And he said, "You do know if you were just a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, have a little bit more strength behind your technique, you'll beat me." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "For sure." So I took that seriously, and I went from 130 pounds to 165 pounds within about a 3-year span. And I just went to the gym and started lifting weights, and that actually helped me. I know many people might say, well, muscle, you don't need to muscle anything or need to use muscle. I think adding 30 pounds or 35 pounds of weight helped my game because I had the technique, but now I have the strength to reinforce it, or I have the strength to really put that extra oomph behind my technique. Again, my technique is not dependent on strength or speed, but it sure helps it a lot. And from 2013 to 2018, that is where, as a brown belt, that is where I established my game. I actually established, hey, this is what I'm good at, and I'm gonna just focus on that. And of course, I wouldn't ignore everything else. I'll still do certain moves at De La Hiva and Spider Guard, even though that's not really something I'm a fan of. And the main reason, this is a complete side note, the main reason why I'm not really a fan of like De La Hiva or Spider Guard or anything like that is because it's grip dependent. Like, it's very much dependent on your grips and your fingers. The issue with that is I paint and I write calligraphy and I use my hands a lot in my career, so I need my hands to work. Having broken fingers and such, not a good idea if you're a painter or artist, And lastly, as a black belt. So I've been a black belt for about 3 years now, or going on, about 3 years or so. So I got my black belt in 2018, and it's been an interesting journey, because that's sort of where I actually started doing jiu-jitsu. Not to discourage anyone that's not a black belt that you're not doing jiu-jitsu. Of course you are, but I felt like, oh, now this is jiu-jitsu. This is what it is. And for the past, 2.5, 3 years, I call it cutting the fat. Certain techniques, certain moves have certain unnecessary movements to them So for me, for the past few years, I've just been kind of cutting the fat out of certain techniques, out of certain moves. Some moves are just simpler, doing a different way, which, you know, it's more energy efficient, less movement, less opportunities for the other guy to defend or get out of. But as a black belt, I've been just cutting the fat as much as I can. But of course, from blue belt to black, I've been helping out with my head instructor, teaching private lessons when I'm allowed to. So the main thing, or the main, I guess, catalyst that helped me throughout my whole jiu-jitsu journey, or from blue belt to black, is actually helping kids. Sounds kind of odd, but as a teacher, I kind of have the knack to want to share what I love, and I have the opportunity to teach kids classes or help teach kids classes, and I realized, oh, actually, teaching kids is what's getting me better. More than weight training, more than anything else, is actually helping kids. And I feel like if you can break down a triangle choke to a 5-year-old without getting flustered and being patient, and you can kind of break down such an advanced or pretty interesting technique, or difficult technique that's pretty difficult to a 5-year-old, I think you have your jiu-jitsu down, in my opinion. But anytime you have opportunity to teach kids, do it responsibly. But in my opinion, teaching kids is what really pushed my jiu-jitsu forward more than anything else, more than competing, more than weight training, more than anything, really, in my opinion. But that's pretty much my video. I know I kind of went everywhere. I rambled here and there. But again, it's my first Brazilian Jiu Jitsu focused video. I do plan on making more Jiu Jitsu focused videos in the future. But yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick rundown on my sort of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu journey so far. Again, I didn't really talk about what, you know, before Jiu Jitsu, or even why I got into Jiu Jitsu in the first place. There is a podcast I was a part of about 2 years ago or so with my friend Simon Tang called Rolling with Simon. I might put a link to that below so you can see that interview with a friend of mine. Really cool channel. But yeah, so I want to say again an official hi to, if I've never met you from Performance Jiu-Jitsu, I will soon. We will see when. But I do miss you guys. For those that I haven't trained with in a while, don't worry. You're in my thoughts. I hope everyone's doing better. I hope everyone's training safely. And I will definitely see you guys hopefully this year in 2021. I'm looking forward to it. But until then, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. I do want to provide content that I'm confident in, you know, so I feel like after 13 years of training jiu-jitsu, I think I could give some advice. Not a lot of advice, but some. So if you have any questions about any particular experiences you have or any sort of problems you have, please put that in the comment below and maybe I'll respond to it, or maybe I'll just send you like a direct message. I know this video is probably going like 15 minutes long by this point. However, YouTube really likes comments. They really like it when you comment on videos. It helps me when you comment on the video. So again, if you see a video of mine and you have my phone number or you have my email or my direct, you know, Facebook or Instagram or whatever, do it in the video that you actually see. Don't put it on like Facebook, because that doesn't really help the YouTube algorithm. All right. So anyway, this video is way too long. I'm gonna stop right now. I hope everyone does well. I hope everyone's doing well. So take care and bye bye. Be safe.
We seem to come together because of a battle that each of us was fighting within himself